My name is Kayode Samuel, a producer, songwriter, and I'm going to be talking about my relationship with the legendary Afrobeat drummer, Tony Allen. Previously, I talked about how we met and a little bit about the management process of what we managed to achieve. But I'm going to expand more and talk more in details about what went on during my time with Tony. Um, but I'm just going to go back a bit to 2000, 2000. I just put together a compilation album titled The Original Afrobeat and the Sound of Nigerian 90s, which was released under an obscure independent record label called Albit. Yeah, the idea was a fella died in 1997, and 2, 3 years later, and I thought, well, there is nothing really about Afrobeat going on in the United Kingdom, so it would be a good idea to put something together. So I put out this compilation album, like I said, in 1999, and that definitely was the first ever Afrobeat compilation album to be made. And I put together mainly obscure artists, um, um, artists like Weird MC, Funsho Gundikwe by the name of Ayetoro, Orlando Julius, Babani, Sherere, and then my own band, the Our Band, also including Snowboy, and then not to forget Alariwo of Africa, Yawagu Gas. That was the artist on the compilation album. So there was no big name on it, and yeah, surprise, surprise, the album didn't sell, and it was a bit disappointing. But then a year later, I've teamed up with Quentin Scott, and then he was in the process of putting together his own compilation album called the Nigerian 70 um, album, putting together the psychedelic music of Nigeria of 70s, and then with a lot of incredible artists, from Fela uh, to Bongozekwe to Victor Waifo to a lot of psychedelic that came out in the East, Orlando Julius, and many others that I can't remember offhand. But the compilation albums are there and actually did extremely well. But my compilation album didn't do well at all because it is more traditional Afrobeat and people are not really ready for Afrobeat at that time. So, but then a year later, I was in Shoreditch, having a drink with Sue Boerman. Sue actually was part of the team that went to Nigeria to do an interview for the Nigerian 70 project. And then, so just to catch up with Sue, and then the phone went. And then it was Quentin Scott on the phone. And he said, okay, I said, where are you? I said, oh, I'm in Dulwich. I'm in Shoreditch with Sue Boerman. And we're just having a drink. And he said, are you sitting down or standing up? And I thought, oh, that doesn't sound encouraging. So I said, well, I'm standing up. He said, oh, nothing to worry about. And he just received an email from the state, from Michael Mann's office. And that immediately rang a bell because I remember, because I went to film school here in England, and then I knew who Michael Mann was, and I thought, oh, what has Michael Mann got to do with me? And then they said, oh, they picked up your compilation album, and they would like to use one of the track on it on a movie titled Ali, starring Will Smith. And that's not all. They also wanted to go to Nigeria and bring the band to appear in the movie. So, wow, that was just an incredible, an exciting, unbelievable day that I will never forget. So I went back home to South London, Holmesdale Road, where we live, and I quickly got myself together, and then I went to Nigeria. Although we've already informed Babani what's happening, that they picked up the track and they're going to use it on the film, and then they paid us some really good money. And then I arrived in Lagos, and I said to Babani, okay, so what's going to happen now? We need to put together the band that's going to follow you to Maputo. And well, we faced a lot of challenges, of course, because a lot of people didn't believe it. Some people said, oh, it's all a lie, they're just going to rip you off, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But I said to Babani, I said, look, we have to go to Maputo. We've got a contract. And I've already said, yeah, the band will be in Maputo. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get the whole band together. But we managed to pick together about 8 of the Egypt 80 band. And then I was staying at the airport hotel, and I was getting faxes, because then there was no social media, is not what it is today, and everything was done on fax. There was no mobile phone. Luckily, because I was staying in a top hotel, I was able to use their office. So I get fax being sent from America, from Sony Pictures, helping me to sort out whatever I needed to be sorted out, like a ticket to travel to Maputo, and or general logistic, for the band. So on the day of traveling, out of the 8 people, 7 turned up, and one of them, I'm not sure what happened, whether I was late to catch up with us, but it didn't turn up. So the 7 of us left, including myself, and then we went to Murtala Mohammed Airport in Nigeria. We had no visa. All we had was our passport, and then we were, because with the correspondence that I got from Sony Pictures, I was able to use that, and that aided us to be able to travel through. I think it's British Airways or South African Airways. I'm not quite sure. So we traveled, and then as we landed in South Africa, we didn't even go through the immigration. We just get ushered straight into the VIP area, straight onto a private plane. Arriving at Maputo, we were welcomed, with champagne and traditional musician dancers, playing at the tarmac. It was absolutely beautiful. So we got straight, 8 of us. We ended up at a 5-star hotel, really beautiful hotel, where all the cast, the crews for the Ali movie were being housed. And so we settled in, and then one of the band members, then came to my room, and I think it was probably 2 of them, had a meeting, and then they said, well, bros, we're really, really happy about what you've done, but we will appreciate if you could please, whatever money you're going to give us, please make sure you pay us individually. So I said, okay, sure, why not? I mean, we've already been paid for the synchronization of the film. So the band boys are entitled to be paid their dues. So I said to them, I said, not to worry, all that one will be taken care of. Anyway, we are in Maputo for 6 days, and everything was absolutely beautiful. And then we left Maputo and we came back to Nigeria. And before they left, I paid all the band boys. I think I paid them $1,350 each, because that was what we paid. So I paid all the 7 guys $1,350 each. And then when there was an incident that actually happened at the airport in South Africa. I was just sitting enjoying a pint of Guinness, and one of the boys came, I think it's Kola, the conga player, and he said, bros, said Babani is crying. I said Babani was crying. I said, why is he crying? And he said he doesn't know. And then he used this Yoruba proverb that translated into when an elder cries, the young is not going to stand around watching an elder cry. Yeah, something like that. So I went and said to Babani, what's the matter? And he said, wow. He said, all throughout his life, he has been with Fela Band right from the Kulalo Beatles era. He just couldn't believe that somebody is going to pick up his own composition and be included in the movie. He just couldn't believe it. And I said, well, that's how life is. But then I kind of remind him, when I came to Nigeria in 1999 to do the compilation album, we didn't have money to do the compilation album. As I explained earlier on, we couldn't even sell this compilation album because it was so obscure. And everybody was paid £100 each. So, and then I remember him saying to me, oh, Kayode, just give me £500 and you could just have the track for life. And I said, oh, no, you can't do that. This is your copyright. This is a song that you should, hopefully one day something will happen to it. But look at it now. You're now made a lot of money from the synchronization, and then you still have an extra $1,350 to go with it. Anyway, so we arrived in Lagos triumphantly. And I think the seven of them, they probably had a meeting. I was in privy to their meeting. And then they probably contributed some money, and then they gave it to people at, when they got back home. And then, of course, very, very impressed, So on the following morning, I was woken up by a constant telephone ring. So I pick up the phone, and then they said, oh, that's a lady waiting for you downstairs in the lobby. So I went downstairs and I saw this tall lady, and she introduced herself to me as Fenitola Anikulapo Kuti, and oh wow, So I was very happy to meet her. Then we sat down, and then I said, what can I do for you? So she did then explain to me that she was fully aware about the process of going to Maputo and all the rest of it, but they just couldn't believe that somebody could come to Nigeria within a week and then take a whole group of people to Maputo to appear in a movie. Because, she has been with Fela for years, and she knows the process of what goes on, the visa application and all that. It takes time, but, all this was just like too good to be true. So I said, well, luckily it was Sony's Pictures magic that made everything so possible. So I said, what can I do for you, madam? So she said to me that she would like me to find a way to try and help for the band to get a tour. That they would like to tour, they would like to get back to touring. And she explained a lot of other problem that the band was facing at that time. And so I said, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. Because I'm not really a promoter, but I'll see what I can do. So I came back to London, and then I discussed with my friend Quentin Scott, and I said, Quentin, this is what transpired. Do you think we could do something? And then we tried some various promoter, and there was no taker. No one was interested, and everyone was like, oh, Fela's dead. I don't think the band is, can really cut it. And I said, oh, look, the band is still very much intact. The Shemo Kuti, the youngest Fela's son, is not taking over the band. He's really dynamic. he is the future of the band. He's, definitely going to make something happen. And then people were still a bit skeptical. Then the Damon Albarn and Tony Allen project happened, and Damon decided to go to Nigeria to record his new album project that finally titled The Good, the Bad, and the Queen. And so we were in Nigeria, and but I'm not going to go too deep into that. But then Quentin called me and said, "Kay, well, you are managing Tony Allen, so why do you think Tony will join up with the Egypt 80 band to perform some tours in England?" And I was like, "Oh, well, let me ask him, because Tony has left the band 1997, maybe he would like to join up with the band." So, and he said, "Oh, yeah, why not?" So I thought, "Oh, great, so at least he could still join up with some of his old colleagues, like people like Babani, Baba Deniro, and some other old Egypt 80 band members, and that was how it happened. And yeah, we just managed to put together a 10-date tour of England, from Leeds. We went to Leeds, we went to Canterbury, we went to, I think we also went to Cardiff, and then we did a show in Stratford, where Quentin put together like a workshop, and got Seun to talk about kind of Egypt, to talk about Afrobeat, and this is when Afrobeat is not really, it hasn't taken off in England. It's still very, very obscure. And now, and I think Quentin should get a credit for actually helping to galvanize interest, on the Afrobeat resurgence that happened around 2000, 2002, and around that time, and that was how the whole thing happens. And then luckily the Egypt 80 went on to do bigger things. Tony Allen as well went on to do bigger things with his collaboration with Damon Albarn, and the Good, the Bad, and the Queen's project, and then he went on to be extremely successful. But my managerial career with Tony wasn't plain sailing at all. It was extremely difficult. I didn't make any money at all when I was managing Tony Allen, because I have to shuffle from London to Paris, and the band were based in Paris. I live in London, so and most of the shows are all in Europe. So I have to leave from London to Paris, and then pick up the band from Paris, and then we travel to wherever we're going to be going. Maybe a lot of places around France, Switzerland, Germany, Holland, Denmark, Portugal, all sorts of places. And so as you can imagine, I have to travel first down there, and then I have to travel back to London. And then most of the shows that we get then wasn't really a big show, a big paying show. It's kind of medium pays, But of course, Tony's band is not a big Afrobeat band. Tony's band is more of a quartet, quintet. So you couldn't really get the full Afrobeat. You can't get the real Afrobeat force. But one thing definitely is to Tony Allen's advantage, and that is the drums. And when you hear the power of that drum booming in festivals or in concerts, then you really understand the power of this drum pattern that Tony created, And so I wasn't kind of surprised that a lot of Western journalists and Western musicians actually able to understand what he contributed to the genre called Afrobeat. Yeah, and I think the full story of my journey in music and my relationship with Tony Allen, Quentin Scott, Damon Albarn, Baba Fatai, Rolling Dollar, Bongo Zikwe. I'm actually putting together a book, and in my book, everything will be discussed in details, and it's definitely something to look out for, I promise. Thank you.